So I guess I'll officially do the launch here. This is my very first episode of Love Notes from the Trippy Hippie. And I have Chellie Campbell here today, author of The Wealthy Spirit and so much more, but I'll let her share all that coming up here. But I first of all want to welcome you to my first episode, Chellie. I'm so honored.
Thank you. I am so honored to be your first guest.
Yay!
And it's perfect for me because I am actually an official hippie, or I
Oh,
was back in the day. Back in the 60s, I did all of that.
oh my gosh, we're gonna get some stories, I'm sure. By the way, I'm already like totally digging your glasses. Like I'm all about those. Those are
Hey,
awesome.
are they fun?
Yeah, they're adorable.
Thank you.
Well, really quick before we dive into some questions with you, before I do that, I would love to just kind of unpack the title and meaning of this podcast, just because it is the first one.
Absolutely. Tell people what it's about.
Yeah. Um, So, Love Notes from the Trippy Hippie is sort of a little inside joke between me and several of my friends that I have been a regular meditator for at least 20 years, maybe a little bit more. And when I do a lot of regular meditation, I get very, very, very lovey and very, very sappy. And I send them love notes and then I sign it off Love Notes from the Trippy Hippie. And one day, one of my friends had the bright idea. She's like, that's the name of your podcast. That was actually, she said that a year and a half ago. And I was like,
Perfect.
oh, that's kind of cute. I kind of like that. I let it percolate for a little while. And a year and a half later, I'm feeling very connected. I had a rebirth experience this year and was just feeling really connected to a lot of magical points in my life that I felt like brought me up to this point.
Yeah.
And so Love Notes from the Trippy Hippie as a podcast is for me, I wanted to bring that magic forward to other people. So it's bringing love notes from the Trippy Hippie out to the world, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, and for me, it just resonates. It's like perfect timing because back in the 60s, I graduated from high school in 66 and from college in 70. So the 60s were my era. I did the folk music and all of that, and grew my hair real long and wore paisley and bell bottoms and all that stuff.
Oh,
Marched against the war in Vietnam, spoke for women's rights and civil rights. So all of that. And I remember I was going to UCLA at one point. I graduated from UC Santa Barbara. But at UCLA, I was in the drama department and they had the first production of Hair at the Aquarius Theater on Sunset Boulevard. And Tommy Smothers of the Smothers Brothers donated 100 tickets free to the drama department, and I got one.
oh my gosh.
So sitting there as they come singing in, and the songs are so great. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And we all thought it was coming like right then. We thought this is the dawning, that means it's right now. I didn't know it was going to be 50 years.
I was
And
just
we're once again looking for that dawning of Aquarius. We're in the time, it's just geological time. It's a lot longer than our little
right.
lifetimes.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I was like, aren't we again right now? Yes. So
Yes, we're
you're
doing the Great Awakening. Just
okay.
mhm.
Well, I definitely feel that. And that's a big part of what this podcast is about too. And thanks for bringing it all together and connecting the dots right there. That's amazing. Like
Well,
I'm,
you connected it, you reached out to me, and I just happened to have all of that, which your inner spirit knew, of course.
oh, of course.
But we love how life works.
It is very magical. See, this is why you are like the perfect guest. You are the perfect first guest. Actually,
Yay.
what I'd love to do, I think you set that up really nicely for me to tell, what is it called? The meet cute story of us. And then
Yes, do it.
some of the stuff. Okay. Um, and I know I've taken some of your classes and read your books, but I'm not sure you even know like the whole story of like where how I came to know you and
No, tell me
such a good
everything.
woman. So, I actually don't really know how I stumbled across the Wealthy Spirit, but at the same time, I did come across like Zero to Zillionaire as well. I might have been doing some Amazon searching back in, I would say 2000, somewhere around the 2006, 2007. When did actually you publish The Wealthy Spirit?
The Wealthy Spirit came out in 2002,
Okay.
and Zero to Zillionaire was the next book, came out in 2006.
Okay, so it was probably 2006 because I know I got both of them around the same time. And I think I was
Uh-huh.
doing some financial research, Susie Orman stuff, and like yours
Right.
came up and I ended up getting it. And I know, right? And
Yay.
so magical. And then I remember feeling so moved by both of the books, actually, that I remember feeling like I had this moment where I think, by the way, I wrote an Amazon review for your book, and it is still to this day, what are we, almost 20 years later? It is still to this day the one and only Amazon review I have ever done. And
Wow. I'm so honored. How wonderful.
I was just so moved by it. And then it was just, and you wrote back to me, and I remember telling my friends like, a real author wrote to me, this is so cool, and I love her book. And like it just it was really like the dawning of the age. Like it was before Facebook, well, at least for me. I think Facebook may have been around, but I don't think I was on it yet. It just, I didn't know, we didn't know, right? The impact of social media and how close we could all really get. And it just was like, when you think of
Right.
manifesting your dreams and the steps to get there, I'm like, we're in the presence of each other right now, writing books and doing all the things. It's not some distant person that, we
Yes,
don't get to know. It's not personal. So it just
I
brought
know.
life. Yeah.
It's so wonderful how we're able to connect with just about anybody. You can reach out and send people an email or a direct message
Yes,
through social media or just post something and all these people, start commenting. And it's fabulous.
it is. It really is.
Yeah.
And a little bit more going from that. I'll just share that uh, I remember, I think I read your book. I want to say, I don't remember if we had a phone call or if we were doing emails at the time, but I think around 2007, I feel like I knew about your financial course and I hadn't taken it yet, but
Yeah.
I was like, hey, are you coaching? Like, are you going to teach coaches to do this? And at the time, I don't think it was like, it was off, it was not on your radar because I really wanted to like come to you. Oh, I
Uh-huh.
remember, first of all, I actually wanted you to teach the course by phone because you didn't. You only taught it at your house at the time.
Right.
And then I was
And
like,
all of that came to be.
I know.
I started it in 2008 because several people had said, you should train other people to do this, like Dale Carnegie and all of those people have other people who teach their stuff. So I did the investigations and did the copy and created a program. And I started in 2008. And I did two different sessions, 4 days at a hotel. I had people pay me $10,000 and come from all over the United States.
Mhm.
And I had like 20 people all together. And then the bottom fell out of the world with 2008 and the financial crash. People were losing their jobs and their homes, and they just couldn't start a new business like this. There were a few people that hung with it, like five. And so one of the gals in that group of five said, you should do this as a teleclass. We want to be able to do it as a teleclass. And I said, well, I'm not sure if that'll work. I have little yeah, but buttons.
Ah,
Don't
that's
say
good.
yeah, but because I know about it because I do it myself.
I was just gonna
So,
say it's so refreshing to know that you you still do it. Those habits are hard to break.
oh, honey, all of my training comes from all the mistakes I've made. It's like I've divided the world into sharks, dolphins, and tuna. So dolphins are friendly fish. They're beautiful. They swim with each other. They look like they're smiling. They're supportive. Sharks are eating machines. They got big teeth. They you hear the music. Do, 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 do. Get out of the water. And the tuna are the food for the sharks who don't get out of the water. And I'm always saying I am a tuna in recovery.
Ah, that's great. I love
Yeah,
that.
because I had to learn, and now I help other people put them through the dolphin and training program, which I put myself through first because I was a tuna. I was clearly a tuna.
Mm,
And I mean, really, it was really sad when I started realizing what was going on, and it was me. It was me. I was doing it. I was making the choices to swim with
mhm.
sharks.
But that's so empowering to be able to realize that because it's like, in a world that is so full of things that we can't control, it just is, it's an enlightening moment. And I had
Yeah,
a similar moment recently too, where I just came out of it a few days ago. I call them my cringe moments. Like I look back at myself and I'm like, oh, that's cringy. But you know what? I've started to celebrate the cringe because the
yes.
fact that you can look back and see the cringe is evidence of progress. Like you're not in it anymore.
Ooh, I love that you said that because I've been spending a little time looking back and going, "Ooh, that was really bad." But that you're right. That's evidence that I've made progress. That's so encouraging. Well, all the teachers and trainers are, reminding themselves of all these things that they learned the hard way, usually. And
Mhm.
if I can shortcut it for anybody and make them not have to choose, the battered wife experience or not have to choose the go to bankruptcy and lose your home to foreclosure experience, if I can get them into peace and love and you can have money and, you know, what I saw was the spiritual people, well, the wealthy people had no spirit, and the spiritual people were all broke. So I
Mhm.
said, what's wrong with this picture? And I wanted to bring it together so that people would be happy, rich in spirit and in wealth.
And so glad you did. And
Yeah.
I know I'm richer for it. And I give the wealthy spirit often as it's such a great gift that I have like a gift closet and I love to give, nice gifts. And that is such a great gift to give. Actually, you know what? If I can show you my book, I don't know, I hope
Yay.
this doesn't make you cringe, but I am one of those persons that will highlight no right and dog ear. It's just like people get appalled by that, but I'm like, no, this is like I've put my love all over it.
I love that so much. There's nothing I like better than to see somebody show me their well-worn, dog-eared, marked up copy of the book,
Oh,
because that means they use it.
yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
when you use it, you get better, you get richer, you get happier, you get more friends, more love, more spirit, everything.
Absolutely. And I just feel like this is like my magical companion. And so I just love the it's definitely used. And
Thank you.
use it. And I'm going to be sharing with people how, like I think I said, like for sure it's been since you wrote it, it's been what, almost 20 years, right? And
It's
so
been 22 years,
right.
actually. Yeah.
So, oh, that's right. Zero to Zillionaire came out a little bit later. So I've
Yeah.
had it for at least, I would say, a good 15 years. And so,
Yeah.
and I'm still getting a wealth out of it. And so I just, and look at
Yay.
us bringing some more wealth to people here too. So, but you bring up, this is part of the meet cute story, actually. You brought up the 2008 crash. Well,
Yeah.
that was a hard year for a lot of people. We saw it. It's hard like to see it. And in solidarity, I don't, this is the part I'm not sure that you know about me is that so I was looking at doing like a financial course. I wanted to teach it. I was inspired to lean this way because I was working in network marketing and I had a team of about 40 people and I was constantly helping them with their goals. And I could
Right.
see over and over and over that one of the things they were dealing with is that it's not their skill, it's not their will, but their deserve levels and
Uh-huh.
that getting that wealth from the inside and feeling that they can deserve to ask for it and things like that. And so that I wanted to help women with that, empower them more with it. So you're
Yes.
part of that. And when I wasn't finding what I was looking for, one of the things that inspired me is you just saw a need and you're like, I can do this and I can create it. And you create
Yes.
your, what is it called? The financial reduction.
Financial stress reduction workshop.
That's
Yes.
right. Oh, and it's so perfectly named, Financial Stress Reduction Workshop. And can you tell people like how you decided to make that?
Yeah, it's an interesting story, actually, because it really is a demonstration of how life works out. Even when you think, this isn't happening, this is awful, I'm going to have to do something else. And then that leads you to the next thing that is a better thing. It's
Hmm.
really amazing.
Hmm.
So for me, all I wanted to do was sing and dance for a living. That was my goal in high school and college. And signed up for all the drama stuff and did lots of productions and plays. And then I came to Hollywood to be a star. Anybody recognize me? Yeah. This did not happen. Once in a big room, I said that, and a hand shot up at the back and said, I do, I recognize you. And I said, thanks, Mom. Oh,
So
I
sweet.
mean, I did work, I did dinner theater in Texas and summer stock in Oregon, and I worked at Disney World in Florida and here at Disneyland, and really did some commercials. I was just always auditioning, but you get turned down a lot. They say for every television commercial, you'll try out for 30 and get no before you get one.
You should be really
Well,
good at dating.
yeah, it's just like dating, exactly. And so I was doing this show at Disneyland, and it was 5 shows a day, 5 days a week for 9 months. And I thought I would die of boredom. I I thought all I wanted to do was sing and dance for a living. But after 2 weeks and 50 shows in 2 weeks, I
Wow.
didn't want to do that anymore. But I had a contract, I played it out. But after that was over, I said, no, this is not what I want to be doing. What else is there? And I took secretarial jobs in between acting jobs, and one of them kept promoting me. And suddenly I'm the office manager. I said, I don't know anything about money. They said, well, we'll teach you. And I went, okay. Go figure. I slept through math class in school, but this was money and it was organization and it was like efficiency. And you don't have to do it twice, do it one time. Don't do it 15 times, do it one time. So I made him more money. And so I stayed there. And meanwhile, I would go on some auditions, but then I stopped. And I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. And I wrote my agent a note and said, thank you so much. And I am done. And I so know this was the right decision because of other things that happened, but because I never, ever went back and did another play,
Wow.
not a community theater, nothing. But what happened was from the skill set of finance, I was hired to run a small bookkeeping service. And it was me and one other person. And I said, this is a dead end unless I get some more clients in and hire some more people, then that could be fun. So I got more business and I hired 4 more people. And the 2 guys who owned the business came to me and said, you act like an owner. We think you should be one. So here's 20% of the business.
Mm.
Now, I had never thought of being a business owner. But looking back, coming from the 60s, choosing to be an actress was as close to business owner as I could get. Because back in those days, there was no picture for a woman business owner or a woman anything. The news was delivered by men about men. The newspaper was about men, except for one page, the society page, that was fashion and weddings. That's it, and they talked about what do you want to be when you grow up. And I had all of these dreams, but I could see no women doing those things. They got married and had kids.
Hmm.
I didn't want that. I was just clear. I wanted to be active. I wanted to do things. So I'm teaching, well, I'm owning this business and I'm hiring more people. And I can see the problems people have with money because when you're looking at all these people's checkbooks, you can see they're not adding it up right. They're missing. I can see in business, they were spending a lot of time and energy on things that didn't make a profit. And then here was something else that they could make a lot of profit on. And then I would have ideas of new things they could do. So I just started counseling my clients. I'd call them up and say, hey, did you get the financial statement? Oh, yeah, here's some. Well, let me tell you what I saw in it. Oh, you saw something? Yes. You're not making enough money. They go, yeah, I know. I said, well, here's how you can fix that. You want to fix it? Yeah. Well, three people in the same week said, you should teach this. And
Mm-hmm.
I went, well, when I hear something, the same thing from three different people who don't know each other, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a message, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, yeah, I can see people need this, and I have some tips I can give. So I know I can get up in front of people because I was an actress.
Mm-hmm.
So I invented a class, called it Financial Stress Reduction, because I didn't want to make it hard money. You know, who wants to go hear an accountant give a speech? You know, it's going to be taxes and numbers, and most people aren't real good at it. But I had musical comedy in my background. So I do things like budget stands for baby, you deserve getting everything, BUTGET.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're living on peanut butter and jelly and would like to afford deli, call Chellie.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I love the creativity. The thing that comes up for me too, just having my yoga background is, I feel like money is so linked to the second chakra, which is all about creativity and
Yes.
flow. And that's why they call it cash flow. And like, I love it. So I can just feel your energy is so strong there and so good. But yes.
I love it so much because when people figure out what the blocks are, when I show them this is what you're doing and you can do this instead, and you got to think positively about money because mostly people are thinking negative thoughts. I don't have enough. Oh, here's another bill. You should welcome those bills. That bill is something you bought that you want. You don't like the electric bill? Turn off all the lights,
Mm-hmm.
have cold water showers. You know, we have to start appreciating, write thank you on all your checks. So do a prayer of gratitude when you send it through the ether, through, online banking or whatever. We don't write so many checks anymore.
So yeah, it's interesting you say that because that is one of the things I have on my list for the same things I still practice because I don't write checks. But one of the things I do is whenever even out I because I still have a corporate day job.
Mhm.
And I'm still doing building my business too. But
Yeah.
every 2 weeks when I put in my timesheet, it always asks for comments and I always write thank you. So
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah, and even like in when I just like sign, like I took my friend and I to lunch yesterday and I'm writing, I actually just thought about this. I could actually take it a step further. I sign it and I say in my mind, thank you, because my money just treated us to lunch. But I should just start writing thank you on that receipt that I sign actually with the credit card.
Yes.
So I
And
think
even on online banking, it has a memo portion and you can put thank you on there.
that's right. Yeah.
It's
So
gratitude to the universe and it's gratitude to other people for creating these things. Like, I love the people who made Zoom,
I
saved
know,
my life during COVID lockdown.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
thank Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook and for all the social medias. I'm happy to use them. They're wonderful.
Exactly. Exactly. It sure does give new meaning as especially in this time I feel like there's more things, more creation and more money flowing because we get new things all the time, but all of a sudden you're like, wow, I really love this. And I love that feeling that, I love this and then it's tied to that and then I thank you. You just ride that wave of gratitude, I think. So I like
Yes.
here's my money. Thank you. I one of the things I like to really think about, there are some things that I just love so much. I just like want to throw my money at it. And I'm like, yeah, I want people to feel that way about my business when I give them what they really want. And they're like, I just want to give you my money.
That's right. I want to, well, see, the trick to being paid with love is to pay other people with love. And
Exactly.
it's so easy. I mean, just be a fountain of good cheer, of love and joy. Compliment people on the street that you don't even know. Oh, those are pretty scarves you've got on. Oh, nice haircut. Oh, I love the color.
Mhm.
People just are like thirsty cactus in the desert, hungry for a drop of rain. And you go water them and you say, oh, you look good today. And they go, oh, thank you. You
Yeah.
can see it, you can feel
Yeah.
it. And you know what? When you give that gift, they give it back to you with that thank you. And you know you made them feel good. And then you feel good too.
Right?
And then we just spread more of that, each one of us. It's a
Mhm.
ripple effect.
Mhm.
So I just negotiated for a new Medicare policy. United Health is out before even all of this Michigas came up in the news.
Yeah.
But I have UCLA has, and all my doctors are UCLA doctors. So I did their HMO. So I'm thrilled, and it's going to be less money, and I'm happy with that. So what happened was my the secretary for my insurance agent, I had talked to him, and the secretary sent me a note, you've been approved to the new program. And I wrote her back. I just took the time. Thank you so much for validating me. I love to be validated. It's so much fun. And I'm looking forward to it. And Tim and you and everybody there have always been so great to me and does such a great job. And thank you and happy holidays.
Mm.
She wrote me back. She said, this is the nicest letter I've ever received.
Aw.
And I went, oh, I felt good about having written it, but then I went, doesn't everybody write a letter like this? Don't you sometimes just say yes? And apparently, mostly she goes, thank you. She gets the basic, okay, thanks. Or I'm having a problem with, you
Yes,
know,
yes. I feel like that's something that I don't know if it's a cultural thing or if it was even or just something in my family, but it's kind of like there was this thing like you're quiet unless there's a problem. And what I didn't like is that meant that we were always connecting over a problem. I didn't like
yes.
that. I didn't like that. I don't know if it's I thought it was a family,
No,
but
I'm with you. And it's like we have to train ourselves to do it, to
Mhm.
really to take the time. It just takes 30 seconds,
Right, right.
to just be warm and to be nice and to smile. I've had people, I've had telemarketers call me, and just sometimes I'm in a mood, and I just go, well, hi, telemarketer USA, right? And he goes, yeah, how'd you know? I said, well, and I said, where are you, Nebraska? He goes, no, I'm in South Carolina, but okay, same thing. And we start talking. He goes, well, I see your email is chellie@chellie.com. Do you have your own website? What do you do? Oh, well, I write books and I teach financial stress reduction. Oh, you've written a book? Is it on Amazon? Yeah, what's it called? The Wealthy Spirit. He bought my book.
Oh man, that's a good. That's a good call.
I'm telling you, you can make a sale anywhere. You just have to be open to people need what you have. You
Yeah.
have a special hippie trippy. Okay. There are people that need that or are hungry for that. They don't even know yet, but when they see the name, they're going to go, oh, that sounds good. I
Yeah,
want to click in on that.
exactly. No, I definitely like the reason the wealthy spirit resonates so much for me is because it's not something that we just say out loud or articulate it, but to me, sales is a very spiritual job.
Yes, that
Mhm.
is so good. Exactly right. Real sales is, what people think of it is twisting somebody or telling them untruths to get their money.
Yeah.
Well, it is used that way sometimes, but real sales is empowering people to have something better in their life, whether it's a product, a service, a coaching, a book, or whatever. And so I have a little sign actually. It's right here on my desk. It says somebody needs your help.
Oh,
And that's what makes me pick up the phone to call somebody or reach out on social media, even when I don't feel like it, or I'm tired, or the last 30 people said no. Oh,
yes.
and then I remember, well, it's the 31st, so that's time for to get the commercial or to make the sale and a lot of times people you don't make the sale today, but they think about you for 6 months and then they pop up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get to be a bright star in someone's day. If you're doing sales from the spiritual place, what you're doing is you're being present to them and you're
Yeah.
seeing them and you're hearing them and you're seeing what they value and you're literally just like bringing it to them.
Yes.
So,
and so many times I have a conversation with somebody and I say, well, we get acquainted, and then I say, well, what is it your goal is? What is it you want? What's your dream? And they'll tell me, and I go, well, you can have that. And just my having said that, they go, oh, because so many people tell you how and why you cannot have that.
yeah.
You're not big enough. You're not a star. You don't have a platform. Hey, anybody can be a star. I'm a
Oh,
star now. I'm my own little world. Okay, so I
amazing.
let me tell you this. This was so inspired, and you'll love it. So 2019, before the pandemic hit, I had a surgery. So I'm recovering from the surgery for 2 days, and we have to evacuate the house because of one of the wildfires in California.
Remember that.
Yeah, so we moved to the beach hotel in Santa Monica, and I'm lying around recovering. And so I said, okay, it's the holidays now. I'm just taking time off. I'm going to work on myself and my body and recover and meditate. And so I'm meditating, and my angel voice, who pops up every now and then, my angel voice says, get your workshop on Zoom. And
Ooh.
I went, yeah, I've kind of been thinking about that. I know people do some Zoom stuff. Oh, I hate technology, but okay. So
Oh,
I investigate the technology and I get a class up in January 2020. And one of the people who signed up for classes, could we work out a deal somehow? Because what I really am good at is Zoom technology, and I'll run the thing for you and teach you all about it in exchange for some, a discounted price. And I said, you got a deal.
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So I get my first Zoom class up. And then in March 2020, we were locked down. Now, the way it came out was, we got this disease, this COVID thing, we don't know. And so we're just going to have everybody stay at home. Don't go anywhere. If you have to go out, wear a mask. What? We're going to lock you down for 2 or maybe 3 weeks. And we're going, what? I have to be in my house for 2 or 3 weeks and not go anywhere? What is this? Well, it turned into 2.5 years.
Mm.
And so all these people are panicking. And I used to teach my class in person and then on the phone. And then I'm thinking, okay, now here I am. I've got all these people on Facebook. I've never done a thing with that, but there's a person I know who teaches that. So I go and get that done. And I started the Wealthy Spirit group as a Facebook group where I do a 10-minute video from the pages of the book every day, Monday through Friday. It's $47 a month, and people can try it for $7. So tell anybody that sees this and that are your friends, tell them that they can try it for a month for $7.
Oh,
And it's illuminating people, making people feel great, making more money. And because we need constant reminders, it's like you can't just meditate once a month.
no, and we need to be in community. I think there's so much strength and there's so much healing in community. And I think that's one of the things that this world right now, as you say, we're going through the awakening. I
Yeah.
think that we need that actually more than ever. And we've been like kind of pulling apart. And I think we need to come back together as community and do more community things. Um, Side note on my own business, that is something that I am building and might sprinkle it in
Good.
because there's watery, oceany things that kind of launch
Yes.
from yours. I can tell you, like, when we talk about how connected we are as humans and how there are no accidents in this world,
Yeah.
if I think backwards, you're going to see so many ways in the last 15 years that the wealthy spirit has very much been a big part of where I am today.
That is so great. I'd love to hear that.
And also, so side note here. So one thing coming up in our questions, I think I mentioned that I'm going to be asking you how you found your voice, but you're already giving lots of examples of and we're going to get there because there's a little something in between here, but
Uh,
you're already giving a lot of examples of how you already do follow your voice, and you can see that you can see that you're opening to hearing the universe talk to you.
Yes.
Mhm.
And take the risk.
Yes,
Hear the message and take the risk and go.
yes.
Somebody told me once, a leap from point A, a leap of faith is not a leap from point A to point B. It's a leap from point A.
Hmm.
You
I
don't know
agree.
what, right?
We don't know where we're going to land. We don't know where it is, and it requires a tremendous amount of trust to come forward. But my own experience of listening to that voice is that you will always be led exactly where you need to go. And sometimes we get it in our mind, just kind of like what you're saying, right? Point B, and it's like, eh, you might not stand at point B. You might just like touch base and run to the next one. You know what I mean? It's like you're just like going. You're just it's fascinating to see where it brings you. And interestingly enough, I won't go into my COVID experience, but just want to acknowledge that because I think it's common. Again, if you're listening to the universe talk to you and you're listening to your intuition and you're listening to your voice, I had several premonitions about COVID before it came.
Ah,
Without going into the long story of it, about 6 months before it came, I kept having these like, I could see it. I'm like, everything is online, yoga classes, concerts.
yeah.
Cooking. I'm like, what is this? And I kept seeing masks in my visions. And I was like, I was thinking
Wow.
envisioning something like 20 or 30 years in the future. And in my mind, what I was trying to justify is like, we don't leave our homes and we wear masks outside. So, like, was the earth polluted? We couldn't breathe the air. That's what I was thinking. I didn't know
Wow.
anything about this. And there's more to it that like came like exactly to fruition from my premonitions, but
Yeah.
not as relevant to this podcast and our topic. So I just
We
wanted
can
to
talk again.
yeah, right, exactly. To be continued. But I wanted to ask you, because I think it's important. You were listening to your voice, you were following the trail there. Tell us what your very first workshop was like. I mean, you did the hotel, but after actually, was that your first one in the hotel or was it at your
No, the hotel one was when I trained other people to teach the
ah,
class.
okay.
And I started teaching the classes myself in 1990. And I
Okay.
didn't have the training until 2008. So I was just, well, this is how I made it up from the information. You
Yes.
should teach a class. Okay, I'm going to teach a class. How will that be? Well, I don't know. Well, it was the early 90s and there was a recession on and business was down everywhere. And I said, well, I got to make sure I can sell this before I devote a whole lot of time and effort to it. So I wrote a flyer for the workshop. That was the first thing I did. I just said, we're going to cover how to make more money. We'll do positive thinking. We'll put spirituality in there, blah, blah, blah. And I mailed the flyer out. Now, this is snail mail. This is printed things. It's not like on social media advertising. So it costs money. So I wait. And a good return on a mailer then was like 3%. I got
Mhm.
zero. No response because, people get something from somebody they may or may not know, but it's something totally different off the wall. They got to think about it. It takes a lot of times for people to get used to the idea of it. So I got nothing. And I thought, well, I still think it's a good idea because I had started writing what it was going to be like. I better call people up. So I got out the list of people I'd mailed it to and looked at the phone numbers and look at the people that would be most likely or that I would like to work with. So I'd call them up and say, hey, this is what we're going to do in this class. Did you get the flyer? Oh, let me tell you about it. And this is what we're going to do. And I guarantee you will make more money or I'll give you the refund on the money.
Mhm.
I've had a money back guarantee since day one, still do.
Mhm.
And so I got 12 people and that's how many chairs I had. So I stopped. And then I wrote it. They were all going to show up in 3 weeks for an 8 week class. So 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. And it worked. I had people quit their jobs and open businesses. I had a woman who was a financial planner who made $10,000 in 1 month. This is in 1990.
Wow.
Was very happy.
Yeah.
So I had some wonderful experiences. So then I did it again and again and again. And I just kept going. Excuse me. And then after a while, I just I said the bookkeeping service is taking my time away from this. I don't really love that anymore, so I sold it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep, yep.
So
And
let me
just
get
went
this
full time.
straight. You
Huh?
Let me get this straight. So you
Yeah.
basically thought of the workshop, filled the seats, and then planned the curriculum? That was
Yes,
I love
yes.
this. This is
Sell it first.
yeah. I again proof that you don't really have to know the how. Like if you just trust where you're being guided to, you don't have to know the how. I think that that's a lot of times what I see is that people want the whole plan laid out and where they're going to go.
Yes.
And then if you like that, that's fine. It's not a must. It's not a have to. Sometimes
It's
people enjoy doing that and then but not be attached to it because I've made plans and they're going to go awry anyway.
yeah,
And
you're gonna change them anyway.
yeah, so the
Plan A, plan B, plan C. By the time you get to G, then maybe you have something that's gonna really work.
right, exactly. And I've been like you said, I mailed them all out, nobody answered. Well, no, some people would just stop there. They'd be like, no one's interested, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's where you try your other plan or yeah, you don't
Well,
have it all figured
it's
out.
the secret is human connection.
It
I
is.
mean, how many ads do you see on social media? I mean, every other thing you see is an ad. So you get blind to them. And every time I'm on LinkedIn, which I just don't use it very much because it seems to be mostly corporate, and everybody who says they want to connect with me tries to sell me their thing immediately. I don't even know them yet. Could we at least say hello?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So what really works in all the years I was doing my classes live, I just went to live breakfast, lunches, and dinners for networking groups like National Association of Women Business Owners and LaTip and Leads and all of those different kinds of meetings. Women's Referral Service, still go to that. And meet the people. And I have to hear that everybody got to do a little 30-second commercial. And so I would listen to see who can I help, who's a good person for me to associate with, who's got some centers of influence. They can send me people or give me referrals. And then I call the people up. If somebody's angry and awful and not your people, you don't have to call them. People make themselves call everybody and then they have some awful conversations and then they go, oh, this doesn't work. No, just call the friendly people who are nice to you. Smile when they see you coming. Call them. You'll have at least, bottom line, even if you don't make a sale, you'll have a good conversation, a good person to say, hi, how are you? Haven't seen you in a long time at the next meeting. So,
Exactly. So what comes up for me is one of my favorites from your book is My People Praise Me and Pay Me.
yes, good affirmation. Oh, my people
So
praise
like if they're
me.
not praising me or paying me, they're just not my people. I'm moving on.
I know. I had a client in my bookkeeping service once, and he was a new business and he asked for a discounted rate, and I gave him one because I knew him. And as long as he was nice and complimentary, it worked fine. But then he started getting demanding. And when something went wrong in his business, he needed somebody to complain or to make wrong or bad, and that was us. And so one day he's in my office and he starts doing this with his finger. And I said, hold it right there. And he stopped. And I said, you're talking to me like I have to work for you. I don't. I own my own business. I only have clients for two reasons. One, I make a lot of money. And two, I have a lot of fun. Now, we both know I'm not making money on you, and you're really not being fun right now. So something is going to have to change, or we're not working together anymore. I have never seen a more shocked expression on anybody's face. And he went, oh, okay.
I
He
love
tried one more time. He called up, I just got your bill and it's too much money. I said, you get a check in here today by 5 o'clock in full or come pick up your stuff. He started to talk and I hung up on him.
Oh my
Um, it's not nice to fool Mother Chellie.
goodness.
So I mean, really, you can only push me so far. And then some people don't respond unless you really give them the line. You've crossed the line here and you got to back off.
Right.
So he
Hmm.
got to check in by 5 o'clock and he never complained again. In
Hmm.
fact, he came 6 months later to have a meeting to just tell me how wonderful I was.
Oh, that's awesome. I am so inspired by that, and I really hope the people listening can really be inspired by that as well. I had a similar moment at my day job where I had to tell that to somebody this year, and
Yes.
the results were also very miraculous. He was very appreciative. He is celebrating, and every time I talk to him now, he is sure to tell me how much he appreciates me. So
Woo!
and I told him the same thing. I said, I work really hard for you, and this is not feeling good for me anymore. If you want me to keep picking up my phone, I'm gonna need some love.
That's so brilliant. I love that. See, and when you ask, you get. If you don't ask, you don't get. You just continue to get more and more abuse. It's
Exactly.
got to stop. We can just stop this whole relationship right here, right now. I don't need you. There's 10 million people in LA. I can get another client tomorrow. I can have another job tomorrow. It's okay.
So, is this an example of using some dolphin skills?
Yes, this is it exactly. Because it isn't all just, people think if you teach spirit in any way, that you're spiritual in any way and meditate, that you're all just peace and love to everybody. Some people can't hear it that way. You have to have the skill set of being able to say, this person needs love. I learned that in acting. The good directors, there would be directors who praised everybody, and then there would be directors who yelled at everybody. But then the good directors knew to praise this one, ignore that one, yell at this one, give information to this one.
That's really seeing somebody and connecting them and seeing what they need.
Yes,
Yeah.
people are individuals and they want to be responded to in that way and kindly, please.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I see it too, you talk about like love and light and peace and all that, which I'm all for. I'm all about like love notes from the Trippy Hippie. But you know what? Two things I've learned. One is if you're not at peace, that is not peace. If you're being abused and you feel like you're put down and you're disrespected and you're feeling your nervous system all not peaceful, how are you creating more peace? If you don't feel peaceful inside, you are not creating more peace.
That is true.
And
And yeah, go ahead.
the other thing is that we think of like generosity, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be a tuna because you're being too generosity, but here's the thing, too true generosity benefits both people.
Bingo. Excellent. It's a cycle of energy. It goes to you and comes back to me and goes to you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were gonna say?
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't remember. It went away, but that's okay. I didn't need to say it.
Conversations go, right? So if it comes back, let us know, jump in.
I will. I will. It's
So
just, oh, I know what it was. Through different things, I wrote my couple of books and then I was invited to have a story in Jack Canfield and Gay Hendrick's book.
mhm.
And then while I was working with the editor for that book, she says, I'm working on a book with Marci Shimoff, who's writing a book called Happy for No Reason. And Chellie, you're the happiest person I know. I'm going to introduce you. So I got along great with Marci. She goes, I'd love to have you in the book. What's something terrible that happened that you overcame or you could just be happy anyway? And I said, well, I was a battered wife. She goes, no, I have that story. I said, well, I got sober in Alcoholics Anonymous because I was a drunk. And she goes, no, I have that already. I filed bankruptcy. She goes, no, I have that. I mean, I've been through all of these things, right? And finally, I said, well, I was left at the altar 3 weeks before the wedding. And 2 months later, he married someone else who was pregnant. She goes, that one, we'll have that one. So that story is in her book.
And I remember when you got asked to be on her book,
Yeah.
her book, because I bought that book just because you were in it.
Oh,
I'm a
that's
big
so
fan.
fun.
I'm a big
Yay.
fan. I'm a big fan of your resilient stories. They're magical because so this my business is about it's mermaid spirits. So
Yes, I love mermaids.
and it kind of launched from the dolphin and the spirit and the wealthy spirit there, and it's I very abundant places within and whatnot. There's so much to the mermaid, but a big piece of it is that how do you know you're a mermaid? Well, one of the things is that you have the ability to take a trauma and turn it into something beautiful. And that is something that I learned from you.
Ah, thank you. I am so happy you said that. That's lovely. Yes, it being in a trauma is a lesson. It's part of life school, the earth school. I
Mhm.
think we're all here learning things. We're learning our power, number one. So anything that has happened to you, you have created it somehow. So how did you do that? So I had to look at, I'm watching serial killer movies. That's probably not good. I'm watching dramas where the husband and wife are fighting all the time. Probably not good. You can take a trip to there sometimes, but you have to really know that you're protecting yourself from all of that because when you feel fear in a movie, the same chemicals secrete out of your brain and throughout your body as if it was really happening.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Yes.
Once you
Yes.
know that, I think you become very conscious or awake to what you are creating and whether
Yes.
or not you want if it's you whether or not you really want to create it. Much the same way I used to be enthralled by all of those things too. And now I just feel like it's not, I'm protective of the energy I feed my brain. Well, because what do they say? Our brains are at most equivalent to an 8-year-old child. Like we wouldn't want
Yes.
an 8-year-old child watching that kind of stuff. So
Yes. Well, I think, the after the election, they say CNN and MSNBC have lost half their viewers and they're all crazed about that and they're going to go away or whatever. And I'm going, hey, give us a break. We need to recover. We lost. We don't want to hear about why we lost or how we were bad to lose or how the other guys were better at lying or whatever, whatever, you know. And this is something we touched on earlier that there's this big divide now where we're getting news and it's different news from different sources. And there needs to be some great agreement about what the truth is. And here's the fact, and this is what I think that we should do about that fact, and here's what I think we should do, and then we can negotiate. That's how politics is really set up. But any two groups of people, if they can talk about with this fact, this is what we need to do, and you can compromise, then you've got solutions that move you forward.
yeah.
But if all you're doing is calling the other guy wrong and bad and evil, and both sides are doing it, I've done it, and but I know the sense that that's wrong. It doesn't feel good, and listen, I fought for civil rights and women's rights all my life, and I see us going backwards, and I'm pissed.
Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah.
I get to be, but then I go, I'm 76 years old. I did a lot of this fighting. We had a lot of accomplishments. If we go backwards a little bit, that's the way growth is. It's never a straight line up, it's jagged. It's
I'm
up three steps,
so glad you're
two.
saying that. Yeah. So thank
And
you.
if I can help the new group work through these issues, okay, I'm ready to be senior advisor. Okay.
Love it. I love it. And what a very, very realistic approach because you're right. Changes back and forth. And also, we have to remember that we try so hard for the big leap, but the most sustainable and well, sticky or what makes it really is the 1% changes. The one
Yes,
at 1% at a time, and it will compound and it will, and that's the beauty of it. But we're always looking for that big change. And then in that gap, we're like, it's not there. And we focus on that gap, and what you focus on expands. And so we
that's
actually
right.
get bigger. So to focus on the 1% and really stay in tune with that, we can make that 1% grow.
Well,
So
one of the pages in my book is called Little Wins.
mhm.
Little wins. You got to be happy about every little thing you accomplish, every win. When I was writing my first book, I didn't know anything about it. So I took classes, I read writing books, and one was called How to Get Happily Published. And I went, yeah, I want to be published. I want to be happily published. Let me get that book. And what she said was, you've got to celebrate every step along this process. You composed and drafted a query letter for an agent. Great. You identified some agents to send the letter to. When? Send the letter. Somebody responded. Yay. You just wrote a paragraph, wrote a page, wrote a chapter. Accomplished. Because if you don't get used to celebrating and being happy about the little wins, and you're always waiting for the big win, even if it happened, you wouldn't be in practice or know how to appreciate it or how to use it. You
Right.
would miss it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you just have to train yourself to be in the glad game all the time. My parents taught me that. My mom said, I know this bad thing happened. I'm so sorry. But what's still good in your life? Was always play the glad game.
Mm,
Well, I still got a part in the play. It wasn't the part I wanted, but I got a part, and some people didn't even get a part. And I got an A on the history. Fine. Okay, suddenly you're feeling good again by focusing on what's good in your life
exactly.
instead of looking at the loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, cry about the loss. Give yourself space and time to mourn it. I go to bed, I drink tea, I turn the electric blanket up to mother, and and then when I wake up in the morning, I go, okay, brand new day, new opportunities. What do we want to create today?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And one of the reasons I love it so much too is that I feel like it really focuses on I think we have a tendency to, as human nature, we can focus on lack and it
Yeah,
doesn't feel good. But I also feel like we're in a time that is actually so abundant that the thing that we need to be working on is like it's so abundant it's a problem like when we look through history and we look at like there was a time and space where people maybe didn't know how to read, right? But I
yeah,
think with this so abundant world and like the lack, if I think the one of the things that we need to do is train our minds to be focused on that fullness and that abundance. um
yeah.
and it's
And
only
what's possible? What's possible?
yeah.
I remember in college, I was taking a dramatic theory and criticism course. And
Mhm.
the professor, I still remember it to this day, he said, what's different in our period of life right now that's different from all of the centuries that came before? And people said different things than I thought, and thought my dad's an aerospace scientist. Okay. He did navigational systems for the space shuttle. So I grew up reading science fiction. So I said, well, my answer to that question is nothing is impossible now. There's nothing you can tell me would be impossible that I can't invent an idea of how it might be possible some way. He
Mhm.
said, that's it. We're
Ooh,
living in an age they used to say a man will never fly. God would have made him wings if he was supposed to fly. Man will never do that. Man will never do that. But here we are doing all those things, having electricity at the touch of a button.
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy what we have. The more we celebrate the miracle of all the things we already possess because of all the work that went before us by other human beings, and then we get to add our candle too to this light.
Yeah. Exactly. And in this day and age, that learning to train your mind that way is a huge part of well-being. And I think it is it's just my opinion, it is as important as it is to learn to read. That's just my
Yes,
take on it. And so that's one of the reasons I want to bring on more people that are in the coaching and the healing, because I really do feel like this is something that we need as a society.
absolutely.
Humanity. So actually I want to go, there's one little bridge thing I want to go here before I launch into some of those questions, but
Sure.
I just want to affirm though, so your very first financial course that you created, it was at your house, right? Did you do it at your house?
No, the first 4 years, 3.5 years, I did it in my office at the bookkeeping
Okay.
company.
And
And
then
then
you
I
moved
moved
it.
it home.
Yeah, and so I remember how you used to explain that. It was like 8 weeks, sign up, come and meet us, cup of coffee. All you do is go turn on the coffee, people come to your living room.
Yeah,
You tell it. I like the way you tell it.
yeah. It was like business is so simple. It's like I go have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, meet people, call them up. The people that are interested sign up and then pay me money. And then my work day is I go set up the coffee, I prepare the room with some cookies and stuff, and then they come and I teach them. They go home, I turn the coffee pot on. The end.
Love
So
it.
simple.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So the reason I bring this up is because I want to share again, I so much of what the Wealthy Spirit and you have inspired like my business trajectory. And so when the 2008 crash happened and I was not a coach yet, I got the inspired idea. I was like, well, Chellie just made it up. Like I could just make up something. And
Yes.
before I actually ever got any coaching credentials, the year after 2008, it was the year 2009, because I feel like we were feeling like the after part, right?
Right, right.
Like spreading out. In solidarity of many of my friends who were suffering from it, I was actually doing okay. The business I was in tended to do better in a down economy because there are
Gotcha.
businesses that do that.
That's right.
So I was okay, thankfully. But in solidarity, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go a year without spending. And that meant I did not go out for a cup of coffee. I did not go see a movie. I
Mhm.
did not buy, at the time, this was a while ago, CDs or books or
Right,
anything.
right, right,
Do. And people were like, "Well, what did you do? How did you live?" And I paid for basic living expenses. You know,
right.
I was married at the time, and I had really hoped my husband would like join me on this, but he was not on board.
Okay.
That's okay, but I felt that year was the time of my life, and essentially what I was doing is just living low budget, right?
Yes,
You do low budget, you do high budget. And people to this day will ask me about it. I've written articles about my year without spending, and everybody gets to create what's for them. But
absolutely.
what was so wonderful about it is that it basically, by closing the money off, it showed me a whole other world of riches. And
Yes.
and a whole other source within me of resources as well. And
Hmm.
um so I got to create in other ways, and I just loved that year. And when people ask me about it, I'm equally as happy on low budget and high budget. They're just different, and they're different benefits, and they're different loves. And I don't feel like low budget then is a deprivation at the time. To me, it feels like a restorative time, a
Yes. You
time.
go within. You go within because you're not going without buying bells and whistles and bright, shiny objects.
Oh, right, exactly. And as you say that, one of my biggest epiphanies, so the way I did it, creating it my way, is that I used the yogic principle of pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. And so in that gap of like, I want to spend, but I'm not, there's a whole gap in there of thoughts and feelings that you get to like reconcile and sort of get into an alignment with what you really want to spend. And I really just had the time of my life. And like I said, I
That
learned
is such a good message for everybody, and you're just glowing while you talk about it. I can see that it was just a really wonderful experience.
it
And
was
yes, the withdrawal of I have to spend in order to feel good about myself or whatever. I have to go to the shishi restaurant today, or I have to go buy this
booked
book.
more for
Well,
my
there's a
son.
library. You can get books for free.
Exactly. I did exactly that. I went to the library, got books for free. I cooked for my friends instead of going out for their birthday. I
There you
made
go.
cute little cards at the time. Like I said, I was married, and I made these cute little Valentine cards instead of going
Yeah.
to the store. But also, here's the other thing is that I felt like a big epiphany for me was that I didn't realize how much time I spent waiting in line to buy things, driving
Ah,
to go places.
yeah.
So, and what is more valuable than money is probably time.
Yes.
That was a really big, big thing for me too. So anyway, just wanted to share how that led. So that went from like I started doing unofficial, just out of my own experience, much like yourself, money coaching, and I became a
Yeah.
money coach for a while, and then I got an official coaching. And what I also started to notice was I started to notice that as I cleaned up a lot of things with money, it also cleaned up a lot of things in my love life or my dating life. And
Yes,
so I'm
it's all
curious.
the same. Good energy out, good energy back.
So yes,
In all the forms.
and I love that because money is and that's what I was going to ask you is like, what is, do you think that there's a link between love and money? And you just said it. What I love about the wealthy spirit though is another thing additionally is that I feel like we attract what we are being, and the wealthy spirit literally shows you how to be wealthy. Like
Yes,
I love that.
yes.
I love that. Um, and I wanted to ask you, so something I ask when I do money coaching is that because you said it, it's about connection and it's about relationships. And so I think it's about the relationship that we have with our money. And so I
Mhm.
often start with saying, hey, if money were your life partner, what would it like to say to you today? And so I'd love to
Oh,
do
that's
that.
good.
What do you think your
Yes.
money would say to you today?
Oh, my money says, I love you and I'm happy to work for you and get you all the kinds of experiences and love and thrills and chills and fun that you want.
Oh, I love that. That's so sweet. It's very similar. I asked my money recently, and my money said to me, "I really just want you to enjoy me. I want you to enjoy making me. I want you to enjoy spending me, and I want you to enjoy being with me and enjoy saving me." Like it was just like just enjoy all of me.
And women need a lot of healing around the issue of money
I do.
because it has been withheld from us a lot. There's a wonderful book called Women Don't Ask. And
Ooh,
it's how, like we were trained in school, you wait for the boy to ask you out, you wait for the boy to call you, you wait for the boy to propose marriage, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of hurry up and wait. Most of the dating books are wait and manipulate, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, how do we get to be out there and ask for money? Men are 8 times more likely to ask to negotiate their starting salary than a woman. So
Yes.
I wrote a third book called From Worry to Wealthy, A Woman's Guide to Financial Success Without Distress. And it's all those kinds of issues, and how to handle it differently and how to just ask for more. Because men do it.
Yes, exactly. I love that so much. And that is the big thing that I address with women when I help them with dating. So I ended up going from money into dating into being a life coach. And now at the mermaid spirit level that I call myself now, mermaid spirit guide, I'm really just all about raising consciousness. And I say sometimes that comes through money, sometimes it comes through dating, sometimes it comes through both. But it more about that. But yeah.
Let me just give you this piece of news.
Yeah.
You have the most engaging spirit and a wonderful smile. Nobody is going to care about your credentials from the get-go. They're just going to want to hang with that. And I will tell you that in my 35 years of teaching financial stress reduction, I have been asked for my credentials twice.
That's well said and accurate. You're right. You're right.
Because I
So
want everybody watching this to know whatever it is you want to do, you can do it, credentials or no. The fact
exactly.
that you want to do it, you have the inside credential.
It's so funny that you say that too, because people will reach out to me and say, "Oh, how do I become a life coach? And what kind of training do you need?" And I'm like, "You don't need training. You got a life." I will just say this for myself. I enjoy the training, so I like to
Yes,
take it. So that's more of it. But you're absolutely right. You don't need it. You don't need it. And I would say if there's a good majority of coaches like yourself that, again, you're self-taught. Your life teaches you. There is no greater teacher than life. Like really.
that's right.
So, um, I have do you mind if I share a few loves of my favorite pages from the Wealthy Spirit? Because
Oh, thank you. That'll be fun.
okay, yay.
I do have theater tickets though, so I'm gonna have to leave soon.
Okay, I'm gonna be like, do you have about 15 more minutes? How are we doing for that?
How about 10?
Okay, let's do 10. Okay, so we'll do we might have to do a part two because I never got to
Why
ask you.
don't we do a part two?
Oh
That'd
yeah,
be great. Because this is,
okay.
yeah.
going to do a part two. So let me share a few of my favorites because we'll give our audience time to check out some of your links then
There you
and
go.
then
Yeah.
get some more from you on a part two. I love that I never expected a part two. So here we go, thinking we're going from point A to point B and we get to point C. And I'm so excited for your theater tickets. That's awesome. All right.
Thanks.
So I just want to share that my number one absolute favorite page from The Wealthy Spirit, there's so many, but I really love, I call it number 149. It's where the Chinese version of Heaven and Hell.
Oh, yes.
You want to
I
share what
love
it is
that.
real quick?
Sure. The Chinese version of heaven and hell. In hell, everyone is sitting around a big, huge table, and there's a huge bunch of bowls of food, all kinds of different foods. And the people have really, really long chopsticks, but they pick up the food and they can't get it in their mouths because their chopsticks are too long. The
Mhm.
Chinese version of heaven is the same setup. The food in the middle of a big table, everybody's sitting around, but everybody there is fat and happy because they pick up the food and feed the person across from them.
That is a world I'm dying to create, which is why I created this podcast, why I have my group coaching pod, and why I want more people to be exposed to more resources like this, like your book,
Yeah.
because I just,
Let me give you my favorite quote that is really on this. This is where I'm reading this to everybody. Poet, playwright, musician, painter, and Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. He said, I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy.
oh, I love that.
Isn't
Thank
that
you.
the best? It brings tears to my eyes every time. Service is joy. People go, well, you could be retired. I said, and then what would I do? I mean, this is the thing I love more than anything. And I'm come full circle from my acting days. I feel like I had my own television show,
Mhm.
right? I'm showing up and I'm telling stories and communicating and hopefully making a difference in people's lives. And
Absolutely.
that's the service.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful and exactly, I love that. Exactly what I want to create, the world I want to live in. Um,
Yes, you're there already. You're there.
I also really love, I'm just gonna, these ones I probably won't go into explain just for time, but just let people know some goods that are in there. I love page 49 where you talk about confidence, unless there's something you want to say there, but
I don't remember what I said offhand on page 49, but I will tell you confidence is something we all have to, it will feel like arrogance if you're not used to it. It
yes.
feels like I'm acting like I'm all that, where you are all that. And if you don't stand up and be who you are, people will never know you. If you're nice to everybody, regardless of who they are, you're boring,
That's so true. Um,
right?
yep, yep. Um,
And the more you take a risk and the more you stand up for yourself and take your stand and be who you are and say what you think and feel, the more true friends will come because they will be attracted to that because they're like that too. And
yeah,
that's who you want to be with.
yeah,
Movers
exactly.
and shakers, people taking a stand, people going for it.
Absolutely, which brings me to my next favorite, which is Uniquely You on page 205. I am big fan of that. And also, you just mentioned what I think when I used to call myself a love and money coach, there was a crux between the two of them. And one of them, there's a few cruxes, but one of them is exactly what you said, which is risk.
Yeah.
To have a great love, you've got to risk being vulnerable and being intimate and your heart being open. And money loves risk. That's why people
Yes.
gamble, which I wanted to ask you all about your poker. So that's
Oh
gonna
my God.
that's
I
so
love playing cards.
I
Playing cards
know.
is
So
fun. And poker is a strategy and you learn it.
we're
But
gonna
I
have
will
to.
tell you, I gave a speech to the Women's Poker Association inaugural conference. And the other two speakers were people who had won championships and had trophies. And I spoke on luck because I am really lucky. And I say that proudly. And you should say it too. I'm a lucky person, and today is my lucky day. And so I win all kinds of jackpots and stuff, and the card I want comes, and you lose a little too. So you have to be willing to risk and lose and then get better. So
Mhm.
I gave a talk on luck, and after we were done, we were playing a tournament. And I said, God, please let me do well in this tournament, at least make the money, top 10%, so that people will believe what I told them. So I won first place.
Ah,
So
awesome.
thank you, God. The words are true. Be lucky.
Which it's so serendipitous, your story and how it goes, because the last one I want to say is my favorite is number 275, where you were talking about a date being with the philosophy professor and about God. Do you want to share anything about that?
Oh, the philosophy professor. That was interesting. I just picked this guy up in a bar, really. And I was in my philosophical mode and I was asking a lot of people what they thought and believed. And so we were talking about God. And I said, well, I believe in a God that sends many messengers, because why would you just send one 2,000 years ago and expect you to believe the hearsay? I believe there are messengers all day, all the time, and I think you should choose beliefs that make you happy to believe them. And that's what I believe in. And he said, well, you don't know that's true. And what about this? And what about that? And he was arguing with me. And I said, well, I just believe it because I like it. I mean, there's lots of beliefs to choose from. Why don't you choose one that's empowering and makes you feel good? There's no way to prove it. And he goes, okay, I get it. It doesn't matter about the proof. You just choose to believe it. I said, that's it. I said, by the way, what do you do? He said, I'm a philosophy professor. I said, you are not. You're pulling my leg. He goes, no, I really am. I said, show me some ID. He did. He pulled out a card that said, associate professor, philosophy at UCLA. And I said, oh, I didn't realize I was arguing with a pro. How'd I do? He goes, oh, I'd give you an A.
I love that story. Your book is phenomenal. I know you have to go, and this is the perfect place to leave off on, because what you just said is going to weave into all the questions that I had set up to answer. You just had such a wealth to give. I didn't want to leave that out. So I love that this turned into a two-part series.
Oh, me too. I didn't know how long you would go. Usually,
I
sometimes
didn't
it's a half
either.
hour, sometimes it's an hour.
I
And then
planned
I
for
went,
an
oh,
hour.
my roommate is knocking on my door. So,
Oh yeah, I planned for an hour, but again, so much wealth here. So I guess what I'd like to leave with, my favorite affirmation I share with everybody all the time, is the more fun you have, the more money you make. So I hope everybody has a really fun day, including you going to the theater.
thank you. I'm going to have a great day. I have a great day every day. No matter what, I'm alive. Still on the right side of the grass.
Right?
That's the good
Exactly.
reason to be happy for everybody. If you woke up today, be happy.
Absolutely. Have a fabulous day. To be continued. I'll reach out for our next session.
Thank you, darling. You have a great day too. And have just wonderful, wonderful people in your life and money in your life too.
Absolutely. And this was fun.
This was great fun. This is what I love more than anything is to talk to another wonderful soul.
Same. We're on the same page. All right. We'll be to be continued, for us and everybody else. Bye, Chad.
Thanks. Bye.